Hello, in this OpenGL video, we're going to show you how to set up OpenGL on a Windows machine using SDL and GLEW. SDL stands for Simple Direct Media Layer, and it allows us to create a render window and detect stuff like events such as input. And GLEW is OpenGL Extension Wrangler, and that allows us to easily use extensions and non-core OpenGL functionality. So if we want to use newer stuff, and it handles it all automatically. Once we've set it up, we don't have to start detecting anything. GLEW handles it depending on what system you are running the application on, which is fantastic. So a few prerequisites: make sure you obviously have a Windows machine, make sure you have Visual Studio installed. If you do not, I'll show you where to get it from. If you go to Visual Studio, if you just literally type it into Google, go to Visual Studio. Actually, no, let's go back. Let's go to Visual Studio Community. You can download an Express version or you can download the Pro version, but the community version is fantastic. It's free and it provides pretty much everything that you would need. So once you've got that downloaded and installed, the installation process for this is very, very simple. Once you've done that, come back. Also, recommend that you have a very strong foundation in C++ before you attempt any sort of OpenGL development, because OpenGL, I would say, is not the easiest thing, and you need a good foundation in C++ and programming in general. That will really help. So once we've done that, we need to download SDL. So if you Google SDL, go to libsdl.org, then go to, as you can see here, these are just a couple examples of games made using SDL. It's got games like Half-Life 2, Team Fortress, Valve, and many Humble Bundle games really do use this fantastic framework. So what you want to do is go to SDL 2.0 and you want to download the latest version. You want to either download the development binaries or the runtime binaries. We want the development binaries. You want the Visual C++ one, this one right here. I've already got it downloaded, so I'm not going to download it again. So once you've downloaded that, you want to go to GLEW. Go to the first link. Ooh, no, we don't want that one. You want to go to the actual GLEW web page. Where is GLEW web page? Site. Let's try typing in glew.net instead. Oh, okay. For some reason, GLEW. Let's go to the source forge. It's weird why it wasn't appearing. Okay, yeah. From here, you want to download the Win32 version, or you can download the Win64 version if you Google it. It's pretty simple stuff. Once you've downloaded this, there'll be links in the description anyway, so don't worry, you can just check that out and get those links. Once you've downloaded GLEW and SDL, what you want to do is put it somewhere that I would say you're happy with, because this project and any other project you create for SDL and GLEW will be referring to files within this folder, and as a result, you don't want to be moving them around afterwards. So I put them in a folder called OpenGL. I've extracted SDL and GLEW. I've renamed the GLEW and SDL folder instead of having some sort of version at the end. Just keep it simple and it's easy to link it this way. So we got GLEW with the GLEW contents, and we got SDL. So once we've done all of that, we are now ready to launch Visual Studio. So you want to go to New Project, go to Visual C++, go to Win32, and click on Win32 console application. If you don't get anything like this and you get something similar to install, you'll say Visual C++ tools, just go through the process of installing the Visual C++ tools and then come back and then you'll be ready to go. So we got the console application. I'm just going to name it SDL OpenGL. Click OK. I'll put it on the desktop. Click Next. You're going to click Empty Project. Deselect Executed Development Lifecycle. SDL as well. This has no relation to the SDL framework that we're using. Click finish. And before we start linking any libraries to our project, you want to go to your project right here, not the solution, the project, right click, go into add, new item, go to Visual C++, a .cpp file, put in main.cpp, add that. Before we start coding our OpenGL application, I'm going to right click the project again, go to properties, then go to configuration, make sure all configurations is selected, active, Win32, go to C++, general, go to additional include directories, click the drop down, click edit, click new, click the three dots, go to wherever you extracted your GLEW and SDL to. I'm going to do GLEW first, go to include, click select folder, new again. You want to go back to your folder, find SDL, go to include, select folder, click OK. Now go to linker, general, additional library directories, click the drop down, click edit, click new, click the three dots, go to wherever you extracted GLEW, go to lib, release, Win32. You can use the 64-bit version, but I would always recommend when developing, only use 64-bit if you know you're going to need it. If you're not too sure, chances are 32-bit will suffice. Really, the only scenario where you'll probably want 64-bit is if your application is going to be using 4 gig of RAM or more, because 32-bit physically can't support 4 gig of RAM, more than 4 gig of RAM. So as a result, you will need a 64-bit version. Chances are, unless you're creating a AAA title, you're not going to be using more than 4 gig of RAM. So 32-bit will suffice. Click select folder, go to new, click the three dots, go to the the SDL folder, go to lib, go to x86, which is 32-bit, click select folder, OK. Now finally go to linker, input, go to additional dependencies, edit. You want to type in OpenGL32.lib. And for the OpenGL32.lib, this is already included on Windows, so this isn't anything that we've downloaded. And you want to click enter, type in GLEW32.lib, then type in SDL2.lib, type in SDL2 main.lib. If you get any errors, especially if you're using a different version of GLEW or a different version of SDL, the errors may be because the library files are named differently. A way to find out what they're named, if you go to GLEW, for example, go to bin, release, Win32, no, sorry, my bad, got to go to the lib folder, release, Win32, it's named GLEW32.lib, that's exactly what we've named it. If you want to statically link it, you can use the GLEW32s.lib, and now let's check what SDL is named as. It's always a good option it's always good to check it, because just in case, SDL2.lib and SDL2 main.lib. We don't need the test lib. Click OK, click apply, OK. Before we start coding, there's one last thing we want to do. We want to copy the SDL2.dll, which is in SDL folder, lib, and then the platform version. Go to your project, go to the folder where the main.cpp file is, right click, paste. You want to now do the same for GLEW, so go to the GLEW folder, go to bin, release, Win32, right click and grab the DLL file, go to the project, go to right click, paste, and now we are ready to start coding. So what I'm going to do is click view full screen, because otherwise there's just a lot of space that's just wasted. First thing, we're going to do hash include IO stream. This will be used just to log out any errors that we have. We're going to do hash include SDL.h hash include GL/GLEW.h. And like I said, if you wanted to statically link GLEW, you would have included the GLEW32s.lib. Also, you would put hash define GLEW_static. We're not going to be statically linking it, hence why we're not going to be putting this here, but I'm just showing you how you would do it if you did want to statically link it. So now that we got that out of the way, there's one more include file, which is hash include SDL_OpenGL.h. And now we're going to create a constant variable. I'm going to put GL int width equals to 800, height equal to 600 semicolon. You might be wondering, why are we using a GL int instead of a regular integer? The simple reason is a regular integer on different compilers might have a different size, whereas a GL int is consistent. Simply put, that's the reason we're using it. So in OpenGL, use GL int, simply put. Now we're going to put int main, and what we're going to do, we haven't put the argument count or the argument value because we're not going to be using them. But if you look on our source code, that is present, but don't worry, you can omit them or you can have them because we're not going to be using them. It's a-okay. We're going to initialize SDL first, so we're going to put SDL_init I'm going to put SDL_init_everything. We want to initialize every part of SDL. Saying SDL_, oh my bad, it's lowercase after the first I. There we go, that's all done. Now we're going to set some attributes. First one is SDL_GL_set attribute. And in here, we're going to set SDL_GL_context_major version. We're going to be setting the OpenGL version, set the major version to 3. We're going to copy and paste this. This is just this is just Visual Studio, just changing my formatting, my code formatting, because it's got its own set of rules which I haven't actually modified. For this, we're going to leave this as free as well, but we're going to change major to minor. So this is version 3.3. If we wanted 3.1, we would change this, so it would be 3.1. We're going to leave it as free. Generally speaking, when you use an OpenGL version, because we're talking about modern OpenGL, you don't want to use the old immediate mode anymore. You want anything that's 3.1 or newer, because in 3.1 they removed all the old deprecated code. So actually I forgot about another SDL_GL_set attribute that I wanted to do first, and this was the SDL_GL_context _profile mask. And for this, we're just going to be setting it to the OpenGL core profile. So if you put SDL_GL_context _profile core. So there's 3 main profiles that you'll be using. It's either ES, which is embedded systems for stuff like mobile devices. It's core profile, and this is just the core modern OpenGL. And then there's compatibility, which allows you to use older OpenGL, which we do not want. So just select the core profile. Now we're going to select, we're going to set one last attribute, SDL_GL_set attribute, and this is going to be the stencil size. We're going to set this to 8. And now we are going to be creating the SDL window. So we're going to put SDL_window. I'm going to name it window. Assign it to SDL underscore create, where is it? Create window. It's going to have a few properties. The first one is going to be the name of our window. I'm just going to put SDL OpenGL, put a comma. We're going to set what we are now setting is the position of our window. We're going to set it as 0, 0. Now we're going to set the width and the height. We're going to use our width and height values. The beauty of using these are anywhere that we refer to these, they'll get updated if we were to change them up top. Now we're just going to set it to an SDL window, or SDL OpenGL window. So SDL underscore window underscore OpenGL. Now we're going to create an SDL OpenGL context. So we're going to put SDL underscore GL context, name it context, equal to SDL underscore GL underscore create context, assign it window, pass the value of window, and now we're going to put GLEW experimental equal GL underscore true. This just allows us to use the newer OpenGL extensions instead of the old stuff. It's named experimental, but don't worry, it's not experimental. Now we are going to initialize GLEW and make sure it's been initialized. So we're going to put if GLEW underscore OK exclamation mark equals GLEW init. So what we're doing, let me just sort that out. I prefer this sort of code formatting. What we're doing is initializing GLEW and check if it's been initialized. If it hasn't, we're going to tell the user, or tell the developer in the console that it's failed to initialize GLEW. Now we're going to do std : end line. Now we're going to do return exit underscore failure because it failed to initialize it. Now we are going to be setting up the OpenGL viewport. So GL viewport for the initial position, we can put 0, 0, and now for the width and height, we can put width and height. Now finally, before we actually do our game loop, we're going to create a window event. So SDL underscore event, window event, semicolon. What we're going to do now is a while loop. So while true. So this is constantly going to be running during our application, and if something happens like the user clicks on the X button so they close down the application, you'll go out of this while loop and then we'll do some cleanup right here. But before we do the cleanup, let's just do if SDL underscore poll event. So we are checking for any events, and the event we are going to check for is a window event. So you want to pass in a reference to the window. I hate it when it starts to try and automatically format my code. I want to do it the way I want to. I want to do if. Don't know why I did that because it's going to format it again. Event.type. I'm going to do SDL underscore quit equals. So we're just checking, is the window quitting? Is it being shut down basically? If so, break outside or break out of this loop. Now outside of both of the if statements, we want to clear the screen because every frame we are checking for any events, we would update anything, and then we would clear the screen and draw any new OpenGL. So we're going to put GL clear color. A clear color isn't necessary, we're just putting it because otherwise we'll just get a black background and because we're not drawing any shapes at the moment or any textures, it doesn't look very good. So we're going to put some color there. So we're going to put 0.2f, 0.3f, 0.3f, and 1.0f. These values range between 0 and 1, very similar to 0 to 255. This is the red, green, blue, and alpha values. Now we're going to do GL clear, so this just clears the screen, and for the parameter we're going to pass in GL underscore color underscore buffer underscore bit, and the last thing we're going to do is SDL underscore GL underscore swap window. So it swaps the window if double buffering is present. If not, then it won't. Now put a comment here so you know where you would draw OpenGL to. And now we are going to do some cleanup. We're going to do SDL underscore GL underscore delete context. And the context we're going to delete is, well, context that we created before. We're going to do SDL underscore destroy window, and we'll pass in the window that we're destroying, so window. And now do SDL underscore quit. I know, sorry, it's the quit method, like so. It's not this one, it's the method. I know this has been quite a lot to take in, and we are almost done. Just one more line, so it's return exit underscore success semicolon, and we are now ready to run our application. So let's build it and run it. See if we get any errors. Okay, we got an error. Let's have a look. Are we getting any unresolved external symbol SDL main reference? Okay, so let's go to our properties. Potentially it hasn't been linked properly. From what I can see, it looks a-okay. The linking doesn't look off to me. So let me just go back to the properties. So we got OpenGL 32.lib, GLEW 32.lib, SDL2.lib, SDL2 main.lib. Okay, that looks all good. The one other thing I'm going to look at, we've got GLEW 32.dll and SDL2.dll. Let's just make sure everything is named correctly in terms of what we've included. So we're going to go to GLEW, lib, release. Yeah, that looks okay to me. We've included that. Go back to SDL, lib, SDL2.lib, SDL2 main.lib. Again, that looked fine to me. What I'm going to do is try doing build, clean solution, run it. Okay, so still saying fatal error. See if there's anything that just sticks out to me in here. So let's just quickly go through the code. SDL vent, that looks so good. So far, can't see any problems with the code. Create context window with hide SDL window OpenGL. SDL create window, set attributes. Yeah, that is looking all good so far. Scroll down, let's make sure all of this is a-okay. So deleting the context, destroying the window, quit, swap window, clearing. External symbol STL main reference. I believe I've seen this before. Let me go back to properties. I'm positive it's going to be something from here isn't linked properly. So let's just click edit. So what is moaning? So we've got SDL2.lib, SDL2 main.lib. That looks like it's been spelled correctly. OpenGL 32.lib. Now let's go to general. Go to edit. Make sure we've included the right folders: SDL lib x86, SDL lib release win32. That looks fine to me. Go to C++, general, and we've done SDL include and GLEW include. SDL main referenced in function. I'm going to go to full screen, and from here what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete all of this code, bar the return exit success, see if that works. Still not working. Still doesn't like it. Okay, something else is amiss. So I'm just going to get rid of all of this. Debug. Okay, it like that. So let's make sure this is all good. This looks okay to me. I'm gonna delete this. So we're just including the SDL file. It's not SDL2, is it? No, it is SDL.h. Honestly, I've got the strangest feeling that it's because there isn't an int argc character argv square brackets run. Oh my god, that actually worked. It was because I was missing the argument count and the argument value. So clearly SDL requires the argument count and the argument value. I honestly didn't know that, so I've learned something as well. So make sure you have the int argument count and character argument value array. Yeah, that's kind of embarrassing considering I was like, nah, you don't need it, we're not going to be using it. Clearly SDL does want it, so make sure you have that. Oh yeah, we are now ready to start coding in SDL for OpenGL, modern OpenGL that is. So there's some great tutorials coming up very soon. If you wanted to set up SDL for Mac instead, feel free to check out our other video and feel free to check out all of our other videos on coding in general. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on our education platform, sonarlearning.co.uk. There'll be a link in the description along with links to the source code from every video in this series and the links to the SDL and GLEW where you can download them from. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. If you didn't like it, feel free to leave us a comment as well. And as usual, thank you for watching and I hope you have a great day.